Hello, everybody. Welcome to this We Did It Health broadcast. At We Did It Health, we're working to create a healthy, happy, vegan, plant-based world. And we're doing that through building community and offering resources such as today's discussion to help you create relationships where you plant seeds of hopeful curiosity in others when they ask about a vegan or plant-based lifestyle. So be sure to subscribe to our channel. And we also invite you to join our Facebook community so you can connect with others and find support and encouragement with like-minded members. So we did it health. Look for us there and sign up for our community. So my name is Mariquita Solis, and I'm excited to welcome April Lang to today's program. And everybody that's watching, please let us know where you're watching from. And also, if you're watching on replay, we're always going to be looking for questions and comments, and we're here to support you. So make sure you give StreamYard permission to use your name. So welcome, April.
Thank you. Thank you. A pleasure to be here and to speak to everybody that's participating, and a big welcome to everybody.
Thank you. Yes, and today we're going to be talking about navigating through a non-vegan world. And I already see challenges right there, like through a little maze. So I'm excited that we have you here to direct us and guide us with kindness and love, because I've heard so much about you, April, and about your mindful techniques that you use, of compassion. So again, thank you, and thank you for being here, Vegan Pundit from Seattle. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. All right. So first, April, I'd love to hear about how long you've been vegan and how did this journey come about for you?
Right. So I was trying to think about how many years ago, because it wasn't like a particular moment that I can remember, but it's been definitely about 20 years. I started my vegetarian journey when I was 18. I went off to college, starting to give up eating cows and pigs, and then chicken and turkey, and then eventually fish. But I fell off the wagon, went back to fish. And like a lot of people who are vegan, it's not a straight trajectory, and that's okay. That's okay. We all have a different path. And then I stayed. And then when I went back and I said, okay, no more fish for me, I stayed vegetarian for many years. And then I went up to Farm Sanctuary. I live in New York, so upstate, Watkins Glen. Oh my God, it was a wonderful place. And I got a rude awakening there about what goes on with the dairy industry and in the egg industry. And, the tour was fabulous. I interacted with all the animals. And then I went home and I said, I am now vegan. And then, like happens again to a lot of people, I fell off the wagon and I said, oh, but I need my ice cream. And I was like, I can't do this. I need my cheese. I love it. And I rationalized that it was okay. And then eventually, one day I was eating some cheese and I just was sick to my stomach because I remembered what I saw at Farm Sanctuary. And that moment, that was it. Never, ever again did I go back to eating, dairy or eggs. So it was an interesting journey. And I always love to find out about people's journeys too, because some people would see a documentary and immediately, they would see Earthlings. Some of my clients will say that, and then they become vegan. And then other people, not so quickly.
Yes, so. And your journey is like my journey. Vegetarian in 95. And then for a long time, I don't even know the dates, then vegan. And then I fell off the wagon again. I mean, because I didn't have enough support. I didn't set myself up for success, right? And those cravings and addictions are very strong. And if you're feeling like a craving and you run to the store and you're like, where's the vegan stuff, right? So anyway, so back to vegetarian and then back to vegan now for a long time. So yeah, that's one reason I think it's so important, like you're saying, to really honor everyone's journey. For some people, it's more challenging than others. And it doesn't mean that they're horrible people or they don't care about animals. It's just, what would you say about that?
Yeah, I mean, it is challenging for a lot of people. And, and I'll find that this happens a lot for those individuals that are living in communities where they don't have a lot of access to good vegan food. I live in New York City, so I've got, everything here, and there are people in certain areas that they do. I mean, they have lots of opportunities to get great stuff. I remember when I did become vegan at the time, there were hardly any options. I mean, the ice cream was tofuty, which, made me feel, it was like very gas producing. I mean, I've had bloated all the time. The cheeses taste like, plastic, but we're in a different world now. So there's a lot of options. But again, for people that don't have that, it's difficult. And also if they're living in, with families, and then I'll get into a little bit about that in a minute with, like romantic relationships, but even just with their families, people that don't have the money to go off on their own yet, some college students or people just in the workforce. It's hard, when families don't support their family members' vegan journey, and won't, provide vegan options, or even if they do, they're still serving animals, they're still wearing animals. So it's really difficult for people that are still, living with others, or roommates, that somebody, and I've had, clients, and in one of the support groups that I do, where the people will talk about, yeah, I'm vegan. I like to keep things in the fridge on my shelf that are vegan, but the other people don't care. They don't respect that. So it's hard. So we have to respect where people are at and what their circumstances are. Some places just, it's just people don't have the money to buy some vegan food that they like because it's, too expensive for them.
Exactly. Yes, I love that. I love that compassion, because that way we're not judging, and we're asking, like, where can we help you, and we're understanding. And that's what's so crucial about change, is to come from a place of compassion and understanding and non-judgment. So thanks for clarifying that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. No, we have to have non-judgment. When people, they have, their intention is to do good, they want to make a difference for non-human animals. Well, the fact that a person wants to do that and they're on their path, that's great. And they will move along at the rate that feels okay for them. Even though if we don't feel it's quick enough, we're not going to be able to push it, rush it. I mean, nobody could for you, nobody could for me. But, they'll get there. They'll get there.
Right. I love that. Definitely. Because people have yelled at me. They've said, "Well, we need them to go vegan now. I wish I could make them. If I had a magic wand, boom." But,
Would, right?
yeah,
It's not fast enough. I mean, there's no way around it. We want all the animals that live on this planet to no longer suffer. But, it's slow going. Even though there's wonderful changes that have happened and continue to happen, it's not fast enough for all of us that are, ethical vegans. Mhm.
yes, amen to that. So you're going to give us some great tips to help with these navigating this non-vegan world. So let's talk about relationship
Yeah.
issues. What
So,
what can you help
yeah.
us there?
So what I wanted to specifically look at, like romantic relationships, because I find, and I've had for a lot of years, this has been an issue with clients where one person is a vegan and the other person isn't. And it happens in different ways. I mean, sometimes, the two people come together and they are not, one is vegan and the other isn't, and that's okay. And and the person they accept each other and they make provisions for everything. But other times what happens, I find even more often, is that two people come together, they're not vegan. And then over the course of time, one of the partners has this awakening and says, "Oh, I'm changing. I definitely have to become vegan." And then the other person is like, "Whoa, well, what does this mean for me? What does this mean for our relationship?" And that can become an issue for both of them. But the non-vegan partner oftentimes has concerns, and understandably, okay, so if you're okay, partner, you're a vegan, so where are we going to eat? Well, that has to be a negotiation. Do you go out only to vegan places? Do you only go out to vegan places together as a couple, but when the other partner who's not vegan's alone, he or she does whatever they want? What happens with friend groups? You keep your friend groups with a bunch of people that were not vegan before? What happens if they all want to go to a non-vegan restaurant? Um, what happens if you're in the home and, you have your leather couch that you bought together as a couple? Or you have, your partner bought you a fur coat or something. What do you do? Right? What do you know, how do you work with this? And, there is no set answer because every couple is different, and each couple is going to be able to navigate things in a different way. So, what happens when you have, and I've had this with a client, you go into the fridge and the vegan client says, I want a vegan fridge. And the other partner says, well, that's not realistic. I wasn't vegan when I met you, and you're asking me to change all of that. I used to, I like to fish. Now you're saying I can't go fishing anymore. So there's a lot of things that have to be negotiated. Can they be negotiated? Not, yes, sometimes they can, but it takes work, but not always. Sometimes the divide is just too much. So what I always would suggest to people is, if you're the person who's going vegan, just make sure that, try not to spring it on your partner and say, look, this is where I am, these are my values, and can we work together here, to make our living situation, comfortable for both of us. But sometimes a vegan partner says, no, I can't even live with somebody that isn't vegan anymore. So it can be very difficult. So again, speak to your partner and see where there's room for negotiation. Right?
Yeah, that's very tough. My partner's not vegan, so we don't live together. But yes, and there has to be respectfulness here on both sides, and it can't escalate, and it can't be demanding, and you have to talk with compassion from the heart. So yeah, and I asked Ingrid Newkirk of PETA about her biggest challenge, and she said when she first went vegan, her partner wasn't vegan, and so she had to have a talk with him to please support me. So it happens to all of us. It's at some point we're going to have these relationships. We're going to have that talk, and being prepared for that, for all outcomes, I think is so important.
It is, and respecting the non-vegan partner too. That this person, his life is now. I mean, both people's lives are changing, right? The vegan completely is seeing the world so differently, but the non-vegan is having to change how he or she is going through life now. Is their social life going to change? Are they going to feel judged by their vegan partner? And sometimes they do. So there's going to be issues there. So that's why I'm saying it's not always an easy solution, an easy answer. But if you can start the conversation with each person saying, look, this is what I need from you. Are you open to meeting me halfway here? And seeing where that goes. That's the first step. And then, down the road, it's hopefully there's negotiation, especially if the couple is really close and they really love each other. They'll hopefully try to find ways, and we'll find ways to make it work. But there is no guarantee. So I just put that out there, a little dose of reality also.
Yeah, it depends on it. If they're both open to being respectful and working together, right? That's what it depends on. So.
Very much so. And then, of course, there's the issue in romantic relationships, and I get this from vegan clients. Should I date somebody that's, not vegan? And again, it's nobody can answer that for the person. But I think, there is a reality out there, unfortunately, that there's still many more people that are not vegan that are vegan. So, are you open to being with somebody that is not? And again, that goes into, the conversation, like as a vegan, what would you need from the other person? What would they need from you? And again, some people feel that they can't, it's like, no, it's a deal breaker. If the person isn't vegan, there's just nowhere to go because their value system, they feel, is so different. And we all need to have, we do need to be on the same page with our values. We can be different in a lot of other ways, our interests, and, that's fine. How we see the world to some extent, but our values, if they're that different, that can pose a problem. So, what I've said to some people is, really think to yourself, would you be okay going out with a non-vegan and could you not judge that person? Because if you start off judging, then you can be sure there's going to be resentment there.
Yeah, and also I love what you're saying. Definitely, not non-judging. So that's very important. And also, the more better you know yourself, and the know how what you know, like your values, what you're saying. So knowing your values first and what really matters to you and what you can handle, the more capable you'll be of having these healthy relationships.
That's very, very true, because there are people that I've found that they're in these relationships and they say, you know what, it's okay that my partner's not vegan because I do my thing and I live the way that works for me and I live with my values, but my partner is a wonderful person in a lot of ways. And maybe, and this happens too, the other partner might be very, caring for the family dog, or cat or bird, or the person would never wear leather, would never wear fur, would never engage in any exploitive activities that people perpetrate against animals, like, in so many ways, just so aligned with a vegan person, but they're not willing to give up eating animals. So, this is where it can become a little tricky, and depends on the person, who's vegan, saying, is that okay? Can I deal with this? This person's great in so many ways. So yeah, so this is a conversation. It's an ongoing conversation. It's really what I need to say about that.
That's very, very true. And here's what Miriam, thanks for watching, Miriam and Randy. Yeah,
Mhm.
some of the vegans, some vegans can handle their being with a non-vegan, some are not. And
Exactly.
yeah, I
Yep.
believe it's a matter of level of sensibility, as we are all different on that. Yes, I love that. And here's
Under,
another, go
mhm.
ahead.
No, no, yeah. And somebody else had something to say.
I haven't been able to make dating a non-vegan work for me, ethically speaking.
Mhm.
The older I get, the less flexible I am in this regard. So, what would you say to that, April? I
Yeah.
mean,
Well, sure. I mean, and this does happen. We get set in our ways as we get older. And if you're saying that, you just feel that it can't work, that you don't want to do that, that's your choice. It's for nobody to tell you like, oh, come on, just deal with it. You might need a really great, non-vegan. Yeah, you may, but if that's not that works, if that's not what you can be aligned with, then there's no point, right? Because you're going to go into the relationship again with a certain kind of resentment or judgment, more likely than not. So, honor that that's where you're at. And if that changes, it changes. And that's
yes,
fine.
very true. I love that. Yes, I mean, if you know where you stand, then go in alignment with that. I mean, first respect your values and yourself. So that's beautiful.
Right. Yeah. So I don't know, should we maybe, if anybody, before I move on to the next, well, actually, I was going to talk a little more about relationships with different kind of relationships, but does anybody else want to comment or have any questions about romantic relationships before I switch over a little bit?
I see JJ. Hi, JJ. Let's see. I don't see any more comments coming in.
Okay. So what I also want to just briefly mention, the other kind of relationships. There are lots of other kind of relationships, right? So you're living in at home, you're living with your family, and your family just let's say you're living with your parents. You're out of school, you had to go back to school, you're living in a multi-generational home. What do you do when, again, you want to have a home which is a vegan home, but the other people are not aligned with that, right? That can be very, very difficult also. And that's where, and I have a client where that's a situation, and an issue came up where the family was cooking pig, and she was very, very upset about that. So she spoke to her parents about that, because she's it's her first job, and they weren't so on board with being sensitive about her concerns. So that there was a little bit of a rift there. Eventually they talked it out, and hopefully there's going to be some respect. So you have to have clear lines of communication going, but also, let's say you're not even living at home. Let's say you're going home to visit your family for a particular holiday. What are your expectations? Do you expect that the family is going to provide vegan options for you? Don't expect. ask if that's what you want. And then what happens if you expected that and they don't? What happens then if they, make snide comments about your veganism? I mean, these things do happen. So I would say one of the first things that you have to consider is, what kind of relationship do you want to have with these other people in your life? And this can extend to friends too, right? What kind of relationship? But let's say just looking at family members. If you're in a family that does respect your veganism and will provide you with vegan options, and when you're there, or not, they're not going to serve vegan food, they're not going to talk about their hunting trip. Okay, can you be okay with that and focus on what's good in the relationship? Because assuming there's something good, can that be enough to keep you connected to the family members? You may find that you get too much pushback, or they're not sensitive to you, but you don't want to cut off your relationship. So then you need to say to yourself, okay, well, what would I be comfortable with? What kind of relationship? Maybe it's a more superficial relationship. Maybe it's, hey, we talk, we call each other, we say, how you doing? We get together for holidays, but it may not be as close as it had been. Can you be okay with that? And then some people just say, and I've had this, I've seen this happen. People say, I just can't be around my family members anymore. They're just really hostile to my veganism. And then, sometimes the decision is just to kind of cut ties. And again, that's a personal decision. But you want to be, again, you want to honor who you are and be clear about what your needs are, and then speak to your family members or your friends about this, and then see, are they willing to work with you? Are they willing to meet you halfway, or where are they willing to meet you? And then you make that determination. But be mindful of expectations, because those usually get people into trouble. So always better to ask the questions, and also to let people know what it is that you would like to have them do or not do.
Yes, I love that. Very direct. And this is really goes in the lines of, nonviolent communication. Having a really kind conversation about your feelings and your needs, and then respecting their feelings and their needs, and how can we come together, and then seeing if it doesn't come together, then you see what you need, right? Is this going to be sustainable at this level, or does it need to change, and am I okay with it changing?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Exactly. And relationships, can be fluid. Some family members or friends might initially have been like, oh, this is crazy, I can't do it, but they don't want to lose you in their life. So they're willing to, to work with you a little bit. So I always say, pause before you make any big decision, like, oh, I'm going to, cut these people out of my life. Like, do you really, really want to do that? And there may be other reasons that you want to anyway, and this is just, the final straw, but don't do anything rash. And that's kind of good advice for a lot of big decisions, kind of pause.
Very, very good advice. I was about to say good advice and you said it, but yes,
Yeah.
that. Everybody, I hope you're listening. So perfect. And hi, Angela Angela is, I thought she was she's at the beach, right? Yes, I know she's at the beach. So anyway, so are we ready for the next round?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So the next topic I was going to talk about was going to be emotional triggers, and I don't know any ethical vegans that don't get emotionally triggered, right? We can get emotionally triggered by our families, by our friends, certainly just in society. And what is an emotional trigger? Well, it can be different, and it is different for each person. Sometimes, the emotional trigger manifests in us getting, very, very teary-eyed, very upset. We can get very, very angry. We can want to, our response can be that we want to isolate, that we want to lash out. So and that's all normal to have those feelings. Sometimes those feelings can also be caused by other things on top of, a vegan issue or an animal issue, but they can all come together, and they can make, they can compound the problem. So what I like to say is, it's important is that we have to understand that getting, especially as vegans, to get emotionally triggered is so normal, such as when we see animal abuse, when we hear about animal abuse, when we read about animal abuse. And even if none of that, just the knowledge of animal abuse. I have clients that they don't have to see anything. They don't have to haven't had to hear anything, but they just, that awareness of all of a sudden, oh, I was thinking about a cow at a slaughterhouse, or I was thinking about, or I saw somebody. Sometimes it's direct. It's like I saw somebody fishing, and you get triggered. So what do you do in those moments? Well, it depends so much on the level of the trigger too. I mean, if you're in the moment, if you're triggered and you feel flooded, and what I mean by that is that you're so overwhelmed that your whole body goes into the state of like a freeze state. So what you want to do is you want to be able to shift your focus to something else. And what is that? It could be anything. And the reason I say that is because it can work, because our brains can only fully focus on one thing at the same time. And we can multitask, don't get me wrong, but to really be absorbed in something, it can really only be one thing. So if we can shift the focus to something else for a while, and that might be, you shift your focus when you're really upset and you talk to a friend about something entirely different. You do get involved in an activity that you really love. Maybe you do a sport that, maybe you're running and you can't think you're running because you're running so fast and you're just focusing on keeping going. And you notice that what then will happen is that your nervous system, which was like up here, can just start to settle down a little bit. So shifting focus, I find, is one of the quickest and easiest things to do. But first, you have to figure out, like, what are some things that will absorb your attention, right? For some people, it'll be reading a book. For other people, that won't work because they'll be reading the same page, the same words over and over 20 times and thinking. So what is it for you that will absorb your attention? So I say to everybody, start to do a little thinking about what that might be. Right. And then, there are times that the issue, what the trigger is, it's not just in a particular moment. It's something you've been thinking about for really a long period of time. Like if you're working in an area where you're seeing abuse on a regular basis or hearing about it, even on social media. I find a lot of people, myself included, I go through my feed on Facebook. And I mean, the majority of what I see is, like, oh, this animal is being hurt. This animal needs a home. This is all these horrible issues. And what I'll say to my clients, and I tell myself, is really manage how often you're dealing with the social media, because your nervous system is getting flooded. You don't have to see in person the abuse. You don't have to hear somebody telling you about the abuse. You just can see it on social media. You can read about it in the newspaper, and you can get really triggered. So something that it can be helpful in those situations is because a lot of times when we keep hearing something or seeing something over and over, is that what can help is that we say, I think, what can I do to make a difference? And that can be, if let's say you see, so let's say you heard about a particular case where, that there's a slaughter, and I had somebody I knew who was talking about this. A slaughterhouse is being put up in their neighborhood. So what do? Right? I mean, it's very hard. There's no easy answer there. But this particular person decided to get others in the community together and start to write letters, and to try to, advocate so that wouldn't happen. Right? You can go to you can write, if there's something that you read about in the newspaper that was really that was talking about some kind of animal exploitation, then you can write a letter to the editor. If you see, let's say there's somebody has been, not treating a dog in the neighborhood really well. Can you go up to that person and find a way? Maybe you find a way to buy that dog or offer them, some suggestions. What can you do? And is there something you can do that is going to make a difference? Because a lot of times when we do something or we try to do something to rectify a situation, we feel more empowered. A lot of times the emotional triggers come from what they lead to is this feeling of impotence. Just I can't make a difference. And we can all find some ways to make a difference. We're not going to obviously be able to, like if a slaughterhouse is being set up in a community, we're not just going to be able to go to the people putting it up and say, please don't do that. I mean, we have to be realistic, but within certain guidelines, we can think to ourselves, what can we do? And I think that helps. I found for a lot of my clients that will be very helpful. So yeah, that's.
I found the same thing, and that's that a lot of my activist programs, right? To deal with the emotions and like let's deal with them by taking action. I mean, in a cathartic way.
It's very helpful. And then, of course, just when we have emotional triggers, the normal self-care is really important, which is to have a support system in line, people that really get you and you can talk to about the issues. If you don't have friends or family to talk to, or you're living in a community where there isn't a good, a nice vegan population, there are online support groups. I do one once a month through the organization Farm. So if you wanted to go onto that website, you could see it's called the Interconnected Group, and there are people there that live in communities where there's hardly any vegans, if any vegans, and the group is the only place for them to go to be around like-minded people who really get it. So there's that. There's also making sure that that you're taking care of your health, you're eating right, all the basic things that are important, exercising, and finding ways to deal with stress when it comes up. And when we get into, actually, this will segue nicely into the part about activism. And then I have some experiential exercises I want to offer everybody, which are great for helping people settle their nervous system. Right. So these are just some basic things to do, but interestingly enough, not everybody engages in them. A lot of people just don't take good care of themselves. They don't think about what will relax them,
Yeah, and you're right. And so this is going to be great, your tips and talking about that. But we do have a comment from Angela. So let's put this up here. I have a challenging time when I fitness walk on the boardwalk at Miami Beach and I see folks fishing, mostly men. What disturbs me most is when I see the young men being taught how to fish. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people do. I know down where I am too, I will see people fishing, and it's so disturbing, especially when I've seen them, catch a fish. So the reality is, well, I would say, like, what can you do? I mean, you're not going to go up to you don't want to go up to the person and start screaming at them or throw their fishing line, overboard, even though I have to say there are times I've felt that, like, what can I do here? But can you go up to the person and can you, say something? Is that possible? And if not, then all right. So what do you do with the feelings? What are the feelings that are coming up for you, Angela? Right? Are you feeling that? Okay, you saw this, it's really disturbing, but you can put it in its place. It's happening, but you're going to move on within the day. And maybe what you do is you write, a letter in your local paper and say, having people fish in this area where a lot of people are walking is, and enjoying their morning run or bike ride is very disturbing. Can we change the location of where the people are fishing? Can we, prevent it from happening over here? Again, realistically, you're not going to get a community to say, okay, where at least most likely we're going to outlaw fishing. I mean, that would be great. And I don't know about your community, and maybe you're in a community that you could do that. So, but think about that. What, if anything, can you do? And if you feel there's really nothing you can do, then you just need to focus in the moment on yourself, on what will calm you down. And also the reminder that you're living a vegan life, and I'm sure you're doing other things, in your world that are helping animals. And it doesn't even mean you have to be doing a lot, but even if you're just vegan, that's a big deal. But I find a lot of vegan people are doing, little bits of other things. So just remind yourself that, you're in it for the good fight. And even though you're exposed to these horrible things, you're still part of the mission, part of the army of people that are, really working to make life better for the non-human animals. Yeah.
Right. Very good advice. Yes. And Angela's doing a lot. And I think that, I mean, that's what I have to do when I see these things. I have to focus on, I have to take a breath and say, okay, I send prayers to the animals and I say, thank you. I mean, if I see, I just say, thank you for what you're doing. And I honor you. And I have to take a deep breath and I remember that I'm doing the best I can. It's very, very challenging and it
So
hurts.
challenging. It hurts, it's challenging. And when clients come to me and they're looking for some, panacea to make the pain go away, I can't give anybody that. I mean, how can we when we're aware of what goes on? There's nothing that's going to take away that reality. But what we can do is find these little pockets in our lives that we can make a difference, and that's what we can do. you know
Definitely.
yeah. So that kind of segues into my next section here, which is on activism. And and the so the, the topic is about, like, what kind of activism is for you. And I will find clients will say to me, oh, so I'm going to do leafletting, but I hate to do leafletting, but I know I should do leafletting. Or I'm doing phone banking for an organization trying to help animals, but I hate to phone bank, I don't want to do it. So what I say is, then don't do these things, but ask yourself, what would you want to do? Because there's no bad activism, right? I mean, all activism is good. It's all in service of the non-human animals. But the best activism is going to be the activism that you like to do and that you're good at. So ask yourself, what do you like? And what are your talents? And that will lead you into the best kind of activism. So just some examples. If you're somebody that's great with photography, did you ever think of maybe going into your local animal shelter and taking pictures, of the animals for adoption, making them look, really adorable? If you are a wonderful writer, write letters, write editorials, letters to the editor, write essays. Um, that's very important to do. Or are you wonderful with politics? Is it an interest of yours? I know we've got a great organization in New York called VFAR, Voters for Animal Rights, and they approach activism by trying to change legislation in New York City, New York State, on the local level. So that's a wonderful place that you could, something like that. Or if you're in New York, that's certainly an organization to get involved with. There are people that say to me, well, I wish I could be an undercover investigator at a slaughterhouse or a factory farm, but I just don't, I just know I couldn't do it. But I feel terrible that I can. I should. I say, no, you shouldn't. There are people that can do that work. Not, I'm sure not most people. It's very hard, but that's okay that you can. You don't want to feel shame that you can't do that kind of activism. So, are you somebody that loves being around people? Go to protests, do the leafleting, do a tabling event, right? Run a campaign for an animal rights organization, or start your own. But if you're not going to honor yourself and be really truthful about what your proclivity is, and and also your energy level and your tolerance. Some people work well with others. Some people are better off doing activism on their own. So I just ask everyone to give yourself a little time. If you're not happy with the activism that you're doing, or you want to do more and you don't know where to go, what activism sounds intriguing to you? What's your personality like? Are you more loner? Are you more working with other people? Um, and again, yeah, talents, energy, interests is really the best way to go to find that, to find your activism.
Right.
Yeah.
Some soul searching, right?
Well, yeah, it really is. I'm curious, anybody here, because I can't see your faces, anybody here ever been in a situation where there are, or are you in a situation where you're doing activism and you don't feel it's the right activism for you, and you've been trying to figure out, what would be better?
That's a good question. Yeah, let us know. And we
Yep.
got a comment here.
Oh, here's
Donate.
Vegan Panda donating to the Vegan Lobbyist Organization. Uh-huh. Ah, absolutely. Donate. Yeah. I mean, fundraise, being a fundraiser is another thing, and also making donations. If you've got the funds to do that, it's wonderful. I'm a member.
Right.
You're a member. Yeah. I mean, I try to do that also, find organizations that are really doing wonderful work for animals. Sometimes it's grassroots, small organizations that don't get the big funding,
Oh,
right? And the mom and pop organizations, which could really benefit from the money. And even some of the wonderful, like I donate to Animals Asia. They do a lot of, I don't know if you're familiar with them, but they do wonderful work specifically for the bile bears.
oh,
Yeah. And I would, urge everyone just to check them out. And they work also, zoos, companion animals, other animals too, but they're very much about the bile bears because a lot of people don't know about them. Bears that are locked up in cages for their life, for their bile, for traditional Chinese medicine. So finding an organization that speaks to you. You might have a particular interest in a particular kind of advocacy, a particular kind of, yeah, particular kinds of animals that you want to specifically help. Check into that.
right. Yeah, there's so many different ways to
So
help.
many.
So many different ways.
Yeah, there is. So we have we have a little bit of time, and this is where I would like to do some experiential exercises with you all. And I wish I could see you so I could know how it's going, but you're just going to have to tell me after. Okay. So these exercises I love to give to clients because we were talking before about emotional triggers. So this is just a great way, again, to get your nervous system from high activation in sympathetic level of the nervous system. You bring it down into the parasympathetic, so you can go. So I'm going to give you a couple of different ones to try and do them here. Granted, you're on a screen. It's not going to be probably as beneficial to you as when you go home and you can practice it on your own. And especially, practice it, utilize it when you are triggered. What I would suggest is do these practices a little bit when you're not in a very triggered state so that you get used to how to do it. And then when you are more triggered, you won't have to be scrambling for, what did she say? I forgot.
Good idea.
Yeah.
All right. I'm
Okay,
ready.
good. So I'm going to ask everybody to just sit in a comfortable chair, uncross your arms, uncross your legs. Okay. And I'm going to also ask you, if you're comfortable, to close your eyes. Okay. And you're going to put one hand, I don't care which one it is, over your heart and one over your upper belly. And you're going to, when I say go, you're going to breathe in through your nose and you're going to breathe out through your mouth, but out through your mouth very, very slowly, very slowly. And I'm just going to walk you through a couple of moments of this exercise. So remember, all you're going to be doing is breathing in through your nose and slowly out through your lips. So I'm going to ask you now to start to take a nice inhale from your belly through your nose. And then just let it out slowly through your lips. Just keep doing that in and then out. And just notice the rise and the fall of your hands as you breathe in and out. Just allow yourself to notice the warmth of your hands as they're on your chest and on your belly. Allow yourself to enjoy that warmth as you breathe in and as you breathe out. Continuing to notice the rise and fall of your chest and your belly. And isn't it nice to know that your body knows exactly what to do? Your body knows how to keep the breath going. Breathing in and out. And all you have to do is just pay attention to the rise and fall of the chest, the warmth of your hands. That's all you have to do. And enjoy the sensations that come from letting your body just breathe naturally and giving yourself time to do this exercise. Feeling the calm that's moving throughout your body. Just letting it be. Just noticing. Now, whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes slowly and come back to me. So, and I'm going to ask you about these after, but let's just do a couple of them. Just take a moment before we do the other one to just check in with your body. Notice how it feels now from when we started the exercise. Okay, and the next exercise I'm going to give is called, and some of you might have done this before, but I love it. It's called 4-7-8 breathing. And one of the reasons I love it is because you have to focus on the counts. And for people who tend to get very obsessive with their thinking, or they're triggered in some way, something that they saw, and they can't get the thought out of their mind, this is just a great way to shift the focus. So I'm going to guide you, everybody, through this one too. And let me explain how it's going to work. You're going to breathe in through your nose on a count of 4. You're going to hold the breath for a count of 7. And then slowly through your lips, like you're blowing out, like you have a balloon and you're very, very gradually letting out the air. You slowly let it out, the air out on a count of 8. And then we're going to start again. So again, make sure you have no parts of your body crossed. Okay, continue to sit comfortably in your chair, or wherever you're sitting. And I'm going to, before you close your eyes, okay, I'm going to have you do it watching me. Okay, so I'm going to breathe in through a count of 4 through the nose. Hold it, count of 7, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Slowly out through your lips, count of 8, like slow. How slow can you go? And then when its breath is out, just right now, just take a regular breath. And now we're going to do it. I'm going to guide you through it. You're going to close your eyes, and I will count you for the first couple. So Through your nose, you're going to take a nice deep breath in, count to 4, count it 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it, count to 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowly out, count of 8 through your lips. Slow as you've ever exhaled. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now you're going to take another breath in, count to 4 through the nose. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it, count of 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowly out through your lips, count of 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Beautiful. Now I'm going to have you do it on your own with my not counting. Okay? 4, 7, 8. Everybody go. 2 times. And then when you're done, you just open your eyes again. Okay. And I'm going to give you one last exercise to take with you. And this is called 4 square breathing. And I love this one too because you have to focus. And you're going to focus a little bit differently. You're going to be counting, but you're also going to be making a square as you count. So you're going to breathe in on a count of 4, and you're going to go up with the square, and then you're going to count to 4, and you're going to go across as you make the square. You're going to go down the other side, counting 4, and then to the bottom, count of 4. And we're going to do that 3 times. Okay? So again, close your eyes, and let's go. You're going to start count of 4, breathe in. And then you're going to breathe out and go across 4. And then you're going to breathe in, going down 4, 3, 2, 1. And then the bottom part, counting 4. And again, up the other side, you're breathing in, count the 4, see the square forming, go across, counting the 4 as you breathe in and out, down the side, and finally finish the square. And now I'm going to have you all do that yourself 2 times without my talking. For each move up, you're going to go up. For each line, you're going in, and then breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. And then whenever you're done, you can just open your eyes. Okay, so take a moment now. You've done 3 exercises. Check in with your body and just notice how it feels. How does it feel different, if it does, from when we started or from when we did one exercise over the other? And also check in with yourself and see which one you liked more than the other. Maybe you liked all of them. Maybe you liked 1 or 2. Maybe you hated all of them. Maybe none of them worked for you. Right? This is, it's a journey here to find different kind of exercises that people can use to relax themselves. So If it didn't work for you, if none of them worked, that's fine. If one or two didn't and one did, that's fine. So anybody want to comment?
Well, let's see. Here's a comment from Miriam. I did the square one. That was simple for me. Thanks.
Okay. And Miriam, can you say how it was different for you from before you started the exercise and after? What did you notice in your body and what did you like about it?
Well, I know I'll say what I did. I feel like I'm ready to go to sleep now. Very peaceful.
I saw you yawning.
I want to, yes, exactly. Let's see. Here's a comment from Miriam. I think that was creative, telling us to draw a box, laughing out. Well, yeah, it makes your mind shift. It's like, well, I
Yeah,
don't have time to think about this because I've got to concentrate on drawing.
exactly. Which is why I love that one. And for some people that are visual, I love to do the square. For others that are, but it's still the counting piece of it, which is good. So both of them are very absorbing of the mind. So when I said before, find something that you can shift your focus to. This, a breathing exercise like this and the 4-7-8 does both. It shifts your focus, right? Because you have to count, or you have to look at this, imagine the squares, but you're also breathing. And the breath is such a wonderful, all our breath is such a wonderful resource, right? And it's such an easy thing, breathing in and out. Now, mind you, if somebody, really has breathing issues, or heart condition, before you do any of these exercises, and I would hope, because I don't see people here, but I would hope people would know that something would be contraindicated for them. But if you would, or if you're encouraging other people to do this, do ask them, make sure that they're okay. And I will also just say this, that so I was doing it at a pace that worked for me, because you're all different. I don't see you. I don't know what's going to work for you. So my holding of a count of 7 might have been too long for some of you or not long enough for others. The same thing with the inhale and with the exhale. Counting the way I counted out 8, for some people, they might have found, oh my God, I can't catch my breath. That's okay. You'll find your rhythm, what's going to work for you, because we all have different capacities.
Exactly. Yes. And Miriam's saying that, yeah, she's got to be careful because she has some issues with her lungs. So, yes. And so definitely well, we're all different. And so to be aware, and really listen to our bodies because our bodies will tell us, like you're saying.
They do. They always tell us if we just will stop and go inside for a moment, and what's happening, but too often we're so caught up in our lives and other things that we don't do that. Focusing inside and what's happening in our body for many is like the last thing to think about. So can't be bothered with that. But
Right.
if we don't do it, who's going to do it for us, right? No one else can know what's going on inside of us except us.
Right. We've got to take care of ourselves. Exactly. So,
Yeah.
definitely. So let's see. Well, those were amazing techniques. It looks like we're coming to the end of our hour. And I mean, these are great things for all of us to use. And thank you so much, April, for those techniques. And any final comments you have? And also tell us where we can get a hold of you.
Yeah. I mean, I guess with the final comments is just, again, it's so important that we communicate with each other, be clear about what's important to us, and then find the best way possible to speak to other people about what you need. That goes back to, the relationships. And again, honor yourself about when you get triggered, when something bothers you, just don't let it go, notice it, and find ways to work with it to calm yourself down. Super important. Find me on I have a website. It's aprillang.com. And I have a page, if you go to the vegan tab there, that says, there will have a lot of articles I wrote. I wrote a book, so you could find that's on Amazon. You could find that called Animal Persuasion. There's podcasts that I was on. There's lots of references, and I'm not just that I'm on, but that you'll be able to have information that you can gather from some of those different venues.
Right. Yes, definitely look into that, and please hit subscribe, y'all. And also, April, where is the when is the Zoom meeting you're saying to support that you do with
Oh, yes, it is. So it's if you go to the website Farm Animal Reform Movement, all caps, and then there's I believe it's under what they it's like the events that they put on. It's called Interconnected. What I could do is I could send a link, right, if you want to send that on to the other people. But otherwise, just look at Farm Interconnected Monthly Support Group. It's the first Monday of the month. So we have one coming up. I'm sorry, not Monday, the first Tuesday of every month. So this Tuesday there will be one, and it's at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I would love it if whoever is here would like to join in. There's no obligation. It's free. You can come. The only thing I ask is that everybody puts their camera on and their audio, because it is participatory. But it's a great place to come, and especially if you don't have any other resources in your life and you need to have people around you that understand you, it's a great place for that. And even if you do have great resources, it's a wonderful place to just talk about some issues that might be on your mind.
Definitely, we all need to have support because it's very easy to feel alone, and we can't take action for ourselves. I mean, to thrive emotionally, we've got to have others. So
We do.
please check it out. Yeah, we have to have others. Yeah, and I've got some comment. A comment from Claudia. She's saying, I do a similar meditation in the morning, remembering all the seven colors of the rainbow, inhaling, saying Shiv, exhaling, saying
I
Shambhu.
love that. That's wonderful. Seven
That
colors of the rainbow. That's beautiful. Thank you, Cassandra, for sharing that. I'd never heard of that one.
That is beautiful. And then she says, then stretch the arms 3 times, the legs apart, the Vitruvian Man of Leonardo da Vinci.
Ah,
That's beautiful. I love it. And then that's the power. Here we are into power.
this is
Beautiful.
miracles for the whole day.
We need that. And
Beautiful.
miracles are out there. We just
Yes,
got to open our eyes to them.
they are. Thank you.
Yes, and you're a miracle. So thank you, April, and everyone who joined us. This
Yeah.
has been wonderful. Please visit these beautiful exercises and always love yourself first and take care of your needs. Like April's saying, be aware of what your body's telling you. So,
What your body's telling you and what's important to you, honor that. I go back to that word honor. Really important to do that.
exactly. And let me mention this is our relationship month that we did at Dot Health. We've got Dr. Peg Hotz coming next week. Mental fitness for vegans, so that's going to be a great one. We all need that. And the week after that, I'm going to be doing the connection between your inner voice and your vegan activism, or what you want to create in the world. So we got to make sure that inner voice is and our inner thoughts are in alignment with that. And after that, the next week we got Kate Kunkel. She's going to be talking about the relationship between brain and gut. So it's going to be a fun month, and I'm really honored to have April here, starting it off with a bang, and everyone watching. And Miriam saying thank you, April Lang, and thank you, Marikita, for having her.
Ah,
It was a
thank
pleasure.
you. Thank you,
This was
Miriam. Appreciate
beautiful.
it.
Yes, yes, and um, thank you. I'm honored to get compliments from so lovely friends as you are. Well, you all are so beautiful. Yes, and
Thank
thank
you
you
for
all.
coming out today on a Saturday to participate, in this webinar. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been beautiful. Thanks, Angela, and everyone else that's been watching. JJ and Vegan Pundit. Pundit. Thanks, everybody. And everybody, namaste, vegan. Namaste, vegan, April.
Day. Have a
Bye.
great rest of the weekend. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.